What is up, everybody? Welcome back to From the Crypt. Today I've got a very special episode for you. We are going to be talking about the Silver Scream Con 3. Yes, it was a very fun experience. I went to Silver Scream Con 2 last year and I had a blast. I went with my sister Deanna and Chelsea as well. It was a very fun time. The concert was fun. All 3 days were fun, and this year was no exception. There was also just so much to do, so much to see. I was going to originally do this as like a vlog style video, but I decided against that in favor of like a voiceover kind of thing. So we're gonna be talking over some footage that I got just because I'm not very good at vlogging because I don't do it enough. It is what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. And just for anybody that is unaware of what the Silver Scream Con is, it is a convention. It is a horror convention that was started by Spencer and the boys in Ice Nine Kills, a metalcore band from Massachusetts, as a matter of fact, which is where they hold the Silver Scream Con every year. Now, every year, from my understanding, has gotten bigger and bigger, and this year they had moved to a new venue in the DCU Center in Worcester, and it was great. It was a phenomenal place. The only real complaint I had was the fact that it felt like the panel room was smaller somehow, even though the venue was bigger. Maybe it's just a trick of the eye, I don't know, but it did feel a little bit like the panel room was smaller than the one last year. So it is what it is. But I will say, yeah, it was packed. There was a ton of people. There was a ton of really cool costumes. There was a ton of just really cool stuff to see in general. All the panels were great, and I just cannot wait to go back next year. So first things first, I did want to talk about the guests that were there. I did not get to talk to any of them in particular, like personally, but I will go ahead and list off some. I'm sure you can probably find interviews from the Silver Scream Con or pictures or anything of these people, and I did get pictures of all the panels that I attended as well. There was everybody from like Eli Roth to Jamie Kennedy and David Arquette from Scream. Of course, Spencer and the boys in Ice Nine Kills were there. Practically the entire cast of Terrifier was there, which was really cool. Of course, Damien Leone as well. But David Howard Thornton, Amelie McLean, sorry if I mispronounced that, Lauren Lavera, and of course Elliot Fulham, all of them are just really cool people. That was a really cool panel, especially someone newer to the Terrifier franchise like myself. But we also had tons of people from Halloween, like PJ Souls, who was in the first Halloween, and John Michael Graham, who was also in the first Halloween, Nick Castle, and there was another Michael Myers. I'm blanking on his name. James Jude. James Jude Courtney was the Michael Myers from the newer franchise, the newer Halloween movies. Of course, we had Shawnee Smith from Saw. We had Bonnie Aarons from The Nun herself. There was a couple of the guys from Super Troopers, and then of course we had a couple of Jason Voorhees and the director and creator of Friday the 13th, which was really cool because one of the days, the very first day of the Silver Scream Con was in fact Friday the 13th, so that was very fun. Including the very first Jason, and yes, I mean the Jason that came out of the lake in the very first Friday the 13th movie, Ari Lehman, who also played at the concert. He has a band called First Jason, because he is the first Jason, technically. All of their songs are about Jason Voorhees, and it's just really cool. It was a cool thing to see. Quinn Lord from Trick or Treat was there. They had the original screen-used 1978 Dr. Loomis station wagon, which was really cool, from the Halloween 1978 movie. That was really cool. Yeah, dude, there's not enough good that I can say about the cast members and the people that showed up to do panels or were there for meet and greets and stuff like that. Huge shout out to Jose Mangan for being there, Metal Ambassador Jose Mangan. He's just such a cool dude, such a down-to-earth guy. He's so fun to talk to, so charismatic. He pretty much is the person you want to announce anything for you for any event at all. So that was pretty cool. I did get to meet him last year at the con, so that was pretty cool. And then another huge shout out to Ryan J. Downey. He is the guy that was pretty much doing, well, he does a lot. He does a lot in the con, but he was doing all the panels as well. He was the one that was the mediator for all the panels. So that was very cool. He is very cool. I could go on and on and on about all the people that were there, but just check out the Silver Scream Con website and you'll see there's a ton of people that were there. Unfortunately, one of the ones I was looking forward to the most, Danny Trejo was supposed to be there, but unfortunately had to cancel due to filming obligations, as the website says. Unfortunately, there was a few people that could not make it, so that sucks, but it is what it is. Everybody that did make it was super awesome, and the panels that we did attend, which my sister and I attended quite a bit of panels because we were a little bit on a money crunch this year, unfortunately, so we were spending a lot less time in the vendor rooms and a lot more time in the panel room, which is fine, because again, all the panels were super cool. Also, the Silver Scream Museum was a big thing that they did last year, and I want to say they did that in the first one as well, but this one was bigger. They even had like sets built, so you could take pictures like from like you could put yourself in American Psycho where he kills Paul and shit. Like it was just super cool to see. Glad they did that. But first panel we went to was Inked in Blood. We got to hear from the artists of the Ice Nine Kills merch and the comic book that they did, Inked in Blood and so forth. And then of course Inked in Blood 2 was written by Ryan J. Downey as well, the guy that did the panels and such. So that's cool. We caught the tail end, I think, of Talk and Chop with Bill Moseley, so we didn't see a lot of that one, but we did make it to Thank God It's Friday the 13th, which was a panel with the Jasons from Friday the 13th, and of course Sean Cunningham, who directed and created the franchise, so that was super cool. I will talk about this panel a little bit more when Derek and I do the Friday the 13th 6 through 12 video, the podcast episode, because I may or may not have had a little bit of a change of heart towards the series, towards the franchise, as I may have talked about previously in the first episode of that. So I want to talk about that a little bit more in detail in the next episode of the Friday the 13th video that we have coming out, hopefully soon, whenever we can record that. And of course, we got to the Stabbing in the Dark, which was the Halloween panel with all the Michael Myers and the other cast members, PJ and John Graham. The second day was reserved for the concert mainly. We got there a little bit late. We wanted to check out the Your Numbers Up panel because that was the Scream panel with David Arquette, and we really wanted to make that, but unfortunately we got there a little bit late due to some traffic issues. That sucked, but it's okay. We managed to get the tail end of it, and I got a picture at least of David Arquette and the rest of the people from the panel. That was pretty cool. And we went ahead and chilled for the 25 years of Idle Hands with Devin Sawa and Eldon Henson. That was super cool because I'd never heard of Idle Hands before. That was not something that I have been privy to. Again, as anybody that has watched this channel or knows me personally knows, I got into horror late in the game. I got into horror probably back in 2017, 2016, something like that. Before then, I'd only watched a handful of horror movies, and it definitely wasn't a lot of the classics, so that one fell under my radar. But one thing I do want to say about this whole thing is this whole convention is just a really cool mix of metal and horror and all kinds of people that are into either or both. And last year we left with a list of movies that we needed to watch, and we ended up watching a ton of them. We ended up liking a lot of them, not so much on some of them, but like it's just cool to see, because you don't, I mean, yeah, you could do a Google search and just obscure horror movies that nobody's seen or whatever, and yeah, there's probably going to be a ton of them, and there's going to be a synopsis, but it doesn't really give you the same feel as one, talking to some of the cast members of those movies, for example, or seeing the fans freak out as much as they do about some of these movies that maybe you've never heard of, or maybe you've only seen once, or whatever, and then, you know, it just gives you a more fresh look at some of the opinions of some of these, like, classic horror movies that just kind of went under the radar. Maybe some that you think are going to be terrible, and they probably are terrible, but there's a certain sense of charm to them, and there's a certain love for the movie regardless, and I think that's really cool. Deanna and I, we left with a pretty decent list this year as well. Some of them I had already had on the radar, some of them I already wanted to watch because they're just movies that I've wanted to check out anyway because I thought the premise was interesting. But Deanna is even later to the game than I am with horror movies because she's younger than me anyway, but she's just recently getting into horror movies, and some of them that she really wants to see, like Terrifier or Green Inferno, because we got to listen to Eli Roth and so forth. He talked about a lot of his movies and such. there were just movies that she did not think that she was able to stomach. But because of the hype surrounding like Terrifier, for example, because of people just absolutely losing their minds about Terrifier the whole time we were here, and being able to see the cast and all that stuff, talk to Damien a little bit, she's like, you know what, maybe I will try Terrifier, you know, and they're tough movies, I'm not gonna lie. They're not entry-level horror movies by any stretch. They're definitely one that you could argue just rip off the band-aid and watch if you really want to get into horror movies and get into horror movies fast. I think Terrifier is a pretty good example of, if you can stomach this, you can probably stomach a lot of stuff. And again, it does have a certain level of comedy to the whole thing, so it kind of breaks your reality sphere, you know, and so forth. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about Terrifier a lot here in the next couple weeks and the months follow as well, so let's just get back into it. And that brings me to the concert, okay? Because we did not make it to the cosplay contest because we wanted to get in line as soon as possible for the concert. So hopefully the costume contest went well. We've seen a lot of really cool costumes. We've seen a lot of Michael Myers, a lot of Jasons, a lot of Freddys, lots of Sams from Trick or Treat. There was even a baby dressed as Sam from Trick or Treat, which I thought was really cool. Tons of Art the Clown. Oh my god, there was probably more Art the Clown than anything. Tons of the pale girl from Terrifier, I think that's her name. And then there was also tons of like, you know, American Psycho and Chucky and, you know, all the big ones. But it was really cool to see some Maxines and Pearls and The Nun, and there was tons of like Resident Evil characters that I even seen Master Chief. What does Halo have to do with horror? Who cares? It was freaking cool. It was a very cool cosplay. Very well done, so shout out that guy. That was really cool. We got into line. Turns out the Palladium has 3 lines because of this specific event. There's the general admission, which is where we were. There was the RIP, which is the convention's VIP list, RIP. And then there's the Palladium's VIP list for just the people that got their tickets through the Palladium website and not through the event website. So it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of confusing and convoluted, and they only had like 1 person helping per line, according to what I was able to see. So that was kind of irritating, I'm not gonna lie, but we did get in very quick once they did start letting people in, so that is good. Once they started letting people in, it was flowing pretty good, so there's that. Also, it wasn't super hot. There was a little bit of time where we were stuck in the sun, but luckily this massive cloud ended up covering the sun up for us and saved our life, especially my pearly white skin. It was it was rough on your boy for a little bit, but we got in. We grabbed some drinks, got a good spot in the crowd, and yeah, every band that played was, I mean, pretty good. I think that Jason First did a great job. It was really cool to see Jason Voorhees walking around on stage, stabbing them with their machete and stuff like that. That was really fun. TX2, I think, was the other band that played. They put on a killer performance. I'm not gonna lie, not really my cup of tea music-wise, but I cannot deny that they just put on a phenomenal show. So if you're into that kind of music, power to you. By all means, hit it up. Run up their stuff on Spotify and Apple and all that kind of stuff. They've got some really cool stuff. Again, not really my cup of tea, but they put on a crazy show. They know how to work a crowd for sure. So there's that. Avatar was phenomenal. Love those guys. I've not really been a huge fan of Avatar in the past, not because I don't like their music, but just it's not something I regularly listen to myself. But when Avatar comes on, I have no problem checking or keeping it on and listening to Avatar. They have a few songs that I do find very fun, very fun to listen to on a regular basis. But again, great show regardless. They put on a phenomenal performance. They also very much so know how to work a crowd. Now, the one I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not going to roast them too much, but the one I was kind of disappointed in, unfortunately, was In This Moment. I have been a In This Moment fan for a very long time. I did fall off after Blood. Blood was a good album, but it wasn't my favorite. I liked pretty much everything they had made before then, though, and I loved them quite a bit up until that point. And then everything they put out after that, I just was not personally a fan of, so don't hit me too hard in the comments. It's just not my cup of tea. However, that's not why I want to gripe. The only reason I want to gripe is because their mix on the speakers was awful. I don't know if this is like, I can't speak on any other performances. However, I did hear from a few other people that this is kind of how it is at a lot of their shows, unfortunately, but their mix was miserable to get through. And I just mean, like, it's just so loud. Like, the whole thing just felt like a rumbly undertone of bass with a loud, high-pitched ringing in your ear for, like, the whole set. And that was just, I don't know, it was hard to get through, unfortunately. I'm really disappointed that was the case. They put on a great performance. Like, their performance is okay, but, like, it was just very hard to listen to, very hard to get through. And the pacing, unfortunately, was not really in their favor either, because it was a consistent ringing and high-pitched, noise plus the rumbling and stuff. But then they'd leave the stage to do like a costume change after every single song. So the pacing was just, it was almost unbearable, I'm not gonna lie. But again, in this moment, the people in this moment, as far as I know, have been great people. I hope that they're doing well. I hope that somebody tells them that their mix is so off that it was hard to listen to. Hopefully they see this, and again, I'm sorry in this moment. I'm not trying to be that guy, but Jesus, man, it was hard. It was rough. Even the opening bands, like, everything sounded great. Avatar sounded great. Ice Nine Kills sounded great. Which is a good segue. Let's go ahead and get off of In This Moment for a bit and talk about Ice Nine Kills. Dude, the set was phenomenal. They had a massive silencer statue on stage, and yes, when you're seeing that in the videos, that is not a projection, that is a statue. It is huge. I don't know if it's paper mache or foam or whatever, but it is freaking massive over the drum set with the glowing red eyes. It was pretty freaking cool, I'm not gonna lie. There was only one small technical difficulty. I'm not sure if I got it on camera or not, but the right before one of the songs was about to play, they stopped the music in the recording of the introduction, and Spencer and the guys walked off stage for a second, but it was only for a couple seconds. They came back, picked up right where they left off. It was no big deal. Otherwise, performance is great, dude. I've seen Ice Nine Kills 3 times now, and all 3 times have been phenomenal. I will continue to see them. I will continue to go to the Silver Scream Con as long as I can. As long as I've got money, I will be there, trust me, because it is just a good time, and they put on a damn good show every single time I've seen them. They even dug up The Greatest Story Ever Told from their 2010 album, I want to say. So that was pretty cool. I was not expecting to hear that. Unfortunately, they did cut Stabbing in the Dark, which I thought was kind of that sucked, because I would have rather have heard Stabbing in the Dark than American Nightmare, for example. I don't know, maybe that's just my personal opinion, but otherwise, everything was great. Set list was great. Of course, they played Walking on Sunshine. It was awesome. I was really hoping that they would play the new song, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but they did not, unfortunately. Yeah, I could just go on forever about Ice Nine Kills, and their performance was phenomenal. They just have a great stage presence. They've just got a great presence in general, honestly. So, last day, we got to the Jig Is Up panel with Shawnee Smith from Saw, and that was a pretty cool panel. I learned a lot about her that I was not aware of. I learned a lot about the Saw franchise that I was not aware of. And of course, we stayed there from that panel all the way through to the end, because this is the day that everybody wants to get to the last panel so they can hear Ice Nine Kills talk and speak on new stuff and give special announcements and stuff. And then right after the Jig Is Up panel was the Terrifier panel, and I knew that if we had left after the Jig Is Up, we would not have gotten a seat in that panel room for the rest of the day. So, and of course, clowning around with the Terrifier crew was phenomenal. Such a cool panel. All the people in Terrifier are super fun to listen to and hear their stories and whatnot. It was cool to see that David, the Art the Clown himself, just was not even, he wasn't even shooting for horror, really. He just was it was almost given the opportunity to do this because he wanted to be in a silent comedy thing or whatever, and it turned out to be a silent horror position instead, and it just worked out. So that was cool. So there was also, after that, was the Welcome to Horrorwood panel, which was the cast of the Ice Nine Kills music videos, if you guys are familiar with those. If not, go check those out. They are super cool. Just watch from beginning to end of all the Ice Nine Kills music videos. Trust me, they're fun. They're worth watching anyway. If you're a fan of horror or metal, you're going to love them anyway. So check those out. And then after that was the Worst Vacation panel with Eli Roth. That was a cool panel to check out. I know Eli Roth is kind of a mixed bag when it comes to his fans and foes. There's a lot of very strong opinions on Eli Roth. Say what you will about the guy. I think he was fun to listen to. The stories he has to tell were really cool. And then I've only seen a handful of his movies, I'm pretty sure. Some of which I'm probably not going to watch. Borderlands, I'm looking at you. But we just watched Cabin Fever for the first time yesterday when we got home from the con, and it was fun. It was a stupid movie, but it was fun, and I enjoyed it. It was alright. Next, we're gonna try Green Inferno, even though that one I've heard is a little bit harder to stomach. Or maybe the namesake of this panel, Worst Vacation, we might try Hostel, so we'll see. After that, of course, we had the Third Time's the Harm with Ice Nine Kills, the last panel of the day, the last panel of the convention. It was super fun, super cool. They had a ton of cool stuff to say. They had a lot of people for questions, of course. It's like the most questions in any of the panels really is the whole entire, like, the whole thing is pretty much fan questions. But it was interrupted by the guy that is, I want to say, prosecuting Spencer Charnas and the whole, like, Welcome to Horrorwood series. And he came out with full-on, like, basically Trump humper gear, MAGA hat, fake bandage on his ear, and it was just absolutely hysterical. And that was super fun to watch. That was super fun to do. They did the same thing last year, but it was a little bit extra. There was a little bit more. And I think he was part of the panel. But one of the cops from Super Troopers came into the panel room and arrested him. It was funny as hell. Took him out of the panel room. And yeah, these guys are just too fun. They're too fun to have around. Be warned. You have been warned. If you ever go to a Silver Scream Con, you're going to have a lot of fun, dude. That brings us to the special announcement. Right before we were about to end, David Howard Thornton came into the room unannounced and said, whoa, we're not leaving. You didn't tell him about our early Christmas present, did you, or whatever? I'll play the clip after this. But yeah, it was pretty much like he came in and announced the new song. There's a new song, new music video. It is featuring a lot of the cast members, including, of course, David from Terrifier and Terrifier 2. It is about Terrifier, and it will be featured in the movie, so that was cool. They also worked with Shabo from System of a Down, which is freaking awesome. I don't know if he's like... They just said we worked with Shabo, so I don't know if that means he's got a part in it. I don't know if he just was like a part of the video. I don't know. One way or another, I'm excited to see it, and yeah, it's gonna be... Dude, the next few months are going to be great. Now, I will say the biggest disappointment in the whole entire thing, which I know is I'm just being greedy at this point, but they did not announce a Silver Scream 3 album, so that kind of blows. But we got Walking on Sunshine, and we're getting a Terrifier song, like, soon. So surely that's two singles. Two singles, I think, are plenty enough to have right before an album drops, but... maybe that's just me. I'm just really hoping we don't have to wait until October next year to get a new album, because that's almost 5 years since they had put out the Welcome to Horrorwood album. So, very last thing I wanted to talk about was the trivia. So, Jose Mangan hosted the horror trivia, and he told everybody to get in a group of 7. So, me and Deanna, my sister, we were just like, okay, we're here, just the two of us, so we're just like, all right, cool. So, we ended up just jumping into a group with somebody, and it just so happened to be one person that knew every single piece of trivia from every horror movie ever, just about. So shout out to that guy. Shout out to the rest of the group as well. They were answering quite a bit of questions, but my point is they carried the shit out of Deanna and I. And I knew probably like half of the answers, if that. So, and then Deanna has also seen less horror than I have, so just understand we were severely outnumbered. But to our surprise, we ended up winning. We won the horror trivia, so that was cool. They custom made these really cool trophies, very hefty. I mean, this is solid. Like it. Jesus, I mean, it was really cool. It was a cool experience. I was not expecting to win. Once they said the 5th and 4th place, I was like, oh yeah, we definitely didn't win, because we personally did not help, Deanna and I. But they got to 1st place, and they were like, they said our team name, and I was like, no way, dude. That was cool. So anyway, yeah, shout out to our group, the 2 Chuckies. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you guys think of Ice Nine Kills? What do you guys think of horror movies? What's your favorite horror movie? What's your favorite Ice Nine Kills song? Let me know down in the comments below. Did you guys go to the Silver Scream Con 3? If so, did you see me there? Did you realize that it was me at all? If you did go, I probably seen a bunch of you there. So let me know down in the comments down below. Anyway, If you like this video, make sure you give us a giant thumbs up. It really, really, really means the world to us. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this or anything else we have on the channel. We do a lot of stuff involving movies and horror and franchises and music and metal and video games and all kinds of stuff. So thank you very much for all of that. I appreciate it. Derek appreciates it. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Forget to tell them about the early Christmas present this year.
We are officially announcing something. You want to hear what it is? Yeah! We are doing the official song and music video for Terrifier 3. We have been waiting to talk about this for a long time. It stars David Howard Thornton. Everyone give it up for him. Many people from the Terrifier universe, including Leah Voisey from the Clown Cafe, of course. Catherine Corcoran from Part 1. And you'll know him over there. Jose and Vinny from Sirius. And many other stars that we won't announce just yet. But the song is also a collaboration with Shavo from System of a Down.